It's only aesthetics.
Only aesthetics, that's right. So for example, when Apple sued Samsung, and I know you asked about this question, when Apple sued Samsung, at least 4 of the patents they sued on were design patents that had to do with the way the iPhone looked. Okay, and Samsung said, well, their first defense was, you can't patent that, and Apple said, looky here. Their second defense was, that's been done before, and Apple said, oh yeah, where? And Samsung said, well, you know, have you seen Star Trek? No kidding. No kidding. You know that pad that Captain Kirk has in the 1960s? Looks just like an iPad, doesn't it? Yeah. Take a hint, Apple. That's why Apple couldn't get a patent on that. But they did get a patent on some of the icons that they displayed on the front of the iPhone. Okay? And in fact, they even got a ruling that Samsung had copied them. Whoops. And in fact, they even got damages based on that. Big number. Very big number. Like $400 million was a big number. See, you put enough zeros at the end, even John will pay attention. Is this true?
Have they actually been paid yet?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because Samsung appealed that and said, wait a second, that's how much we sold all the product for. You have to subtract our costs. And Apple said, it says right here in the law, no subtracting costs. And Samsung said, wait a second, you know, that's just a teeny tiny bit of the iPhone. Just a teeny portion is just that one icon. And Apple said, nah, it says right here in the law, the whole product. That went to the Supreme Court, which said, you know, all things considered, Apple has got 7 patents on this, including 4 design patents. And if they had get paid 4 times for this, that would be really unjust. No. So the Supreme Court said, go back to trial court and find out what the product is. But yes, no subtracting your costs. So eventually Samsung will have to pay on that one.
Okay, because it just seems to take forever. That's what...
Welcome to my world. Of course it takes forever. Yes. The more zeros you add, the longer it's going to take. That's right. Okay. If you think that's bad, just look at civil rights litigation. Zeros to years? Yes. Somewhere. I think the answer is Princess Peach. The answer is the more zeros, the more years. Probably. Every once in a while you get a random case where the case comes down relatively quickly and there are lots of zeros. Okay? Like Monsanto had a patent on their crop that was pesticide resistant. Okay? And they sued a patent infringer, somebody they asserted was a patent infringer, and whom the jury ultimately agreed with a patent infringer, and said, you guys are making a copy of our thing. And the other side said, no, it's not a copy. And the jury said, yeah, it is. And they said, well, didn't cost you anything. And the jury said, oh, yeah, it did. And so the court said, okay, jury, go back and figure out how much that cost. And the jury came back and wrote down on a piece of paper, $1 billion. See, that's a lot of zeros. That's more zeros than I have. And I'm a rich patent lawyer. There was really not much they could do about that. I mean, as a general rule, if the jury rules against you, you're screwed. Okay, you pretty much have to find something that the court did wrong, like admitting evidence that they shouldn't have heard, or telling the jury how to calculate the damages that they shouldn't have done. But in this case, what happened was the court did it all right. They said, okay, go figure out if these guys infringe. Here's the test, blah, 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 blah. Go answer these questions. Okay, and the jury went, yep, you're dead. Okay, and the court said, okay, fine, figure out if these guys lost any money as a result of it, you know. And the jury said, no. And the court said, okay, fine, you know, no money lost. The alternative is they have to get a reasonable royalty. Figure out how much they should have paid to get, you know, 8 years of advanced operation on getting this ready for market. And the jury said, we think a reasonable royalty is about $1 billion. And the court went, that's a pretty big number. On the other hand, the evidence supports it. So you lose. I don't remember who the defendant was. I could look that up. I don't have a Wikipedia reference here. Anyway, if you put enough zeros at the end, people care. Right? If you put enough zeros at the end, they will fight you on it, and they'll find a way around your patent. Or they'll try. Yes, Paul.
Patents are practical. Oftentimes a small company sort of doesn't even make sense to play this game. You don't have enough money to go to court or litigate or. And do you really have to be a big company with forces to really make this work for you?
Well, you probably do have to be a big company to go to court. Okay, and what I tell all the small companies that I represent is don't even think about going to court. You're doing this to build up a portfolio for later so that somebody who does have money, hopefully that'll be future you, but if it's not future you, it's people who buy you, okay, will have money and they'll be able to enforce the patent. Normally I tell people, if you don't have 300, 400, 500 employees, don't even think about enforcing a patent. But because it's going to cost you, you know, several $1 million and several years and one of your executives' time and things like that. But if you're a small company, you know, it's now or never. You can't get a patent if you tell people how your product works and then you wait a while. You have to do it now. So what happens is small companies file their patent applications and they slog through the patent office and they get their patent issued, all right, and then 5 years from now they become big companies, or 10 years from now they become big companies, and they go, woohoo, we have a patent and we're big enough to fight with you, and then they do it, all right? But they only do it, and I tell people, don't sue people for patent infringement unless there's big bucks involved. All right? Questions? I'm desperate for a question. Yeah, you're first, then you.
Okay. So what if you delay before suing or not? Does that weaken your case in any way?
In the patent world, there's actually a recent case. The Congress has said that you can't get more than 6 years worth of damages, okay? It's a little like if you got into an auto accident and you waited more than a year to sue, you get zero because the state says if you wait more than a year after getting injured, you can't sue. Sorry, there's a time limit. Well, in the world of patents, the time limit is 6 years. So if you wait, it weakens your case because everything that goes past 6 years, you get zero.
Even if it takes you a while to learn of the infringement?
Yeah, even if it takes you a while. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I can hear these questions. Okay, so the question is, does it weaken your case if you wait to sue on a patent infringement? And the answer is yes, there is a time limit, 6 years. Okay, now on the other hand, I have to add, let's suppose that I had a patent on, let's say, the opening for this can. Can everybody see these? Okay, in fact, that actually was patented. In fact, there's probably like 5 patents on that, one after the other. But, and let's suppose that I found out that you were using this. Well, if it took me a while to find out, too bad, okay? On the other hand, I can go back 6 years and get all the stuff that you did for 6 years. And if I wait now and you ramp up production, you know, knowing that you're infringing, or even not knowing that you're infringing, and you ramp up production, and you're building more and more of these things, and I go, okay, that does it. This guy is just really, is a burr in my saddle, and I'm going to deal with it, and I sue you. I can still get 6 years worth of damages, because every time you sell one, you infringe. Okay, so this guy had a question. These are the only two people. For each individual infringement, that's right. So every time you sell, I mean, let's suppose you had a patent on, unicycles. Unicycles with tires that are, that are spotted. Okay, and every time somebody sells one of those, that's an infringement. In fact, actually, it's every time somebody makes one of those, or uses one of those, or sells one of those, it's an infringement.
The original topic was the usual problem with being a small company and going into patent battle is if you end up being sued for infringement against your existing patent portfolio, and that's very hard to handle. So 9 times, you beat them on the one infringement.
Yeah, that can happen. I mean, if you're a small company and you sue a big company, I mean, if you decided to sue IBM for infringing one of your patents, IBM will turn right around and say, oh, is that so? We think we might have a patent you're infringing. Let us dig through our pile. And they will just drag out this box full of patents. And they will see which one of the ones in the box you do infringe. In fact, actually, they'll probably find 10 or 15. Yes?
Wasn't that very similar to what that patent portfolio company, what, in the early 2000s, BlackBerry, so they went out and sued all different mobile phone companies with different types of technology. They didn't sell a product, but they owned the patent.
No, actually, that one is a little different. You're correct when you refer to intellectual ventures, for example, which is a company that goes and buys up patents and then sues people on them. Technically, they buy up patents and license people on them, but this is how they license people. They go, nice company you got here. Be a pity if somebody were to sue you for patent infringement. Okay, the case you're thinking of, the BlackBerry case, the company that sued them, NTP, actually did invent those inventions and was a going concern until they ran out of business. And they said, well, all we've got left are these patents. And look at this. BlackBerry is infringing. Maybe we can get some money from them. Okay? So, to tell you an interesting story about the value of patents, how much did BlackBerry pay for that case? $600 million, that's about right. I think it was 630. BlackBerry got a letter from NTP at the very beginning of that case asking for $25,000 for a license fee. I would love to know what the board meeting looked like where they approved that $600 million settlement. It was probably very painful. Yes? What?
There are no anti-category mechanism like anything if I sue a large company, the large company can retaliate by suing the guy.
They can. There's no anti-retaliatory. The question is there an anti-retaliatory rule where if you sue a large company, they can't sue you back? And the answer is no, there is no such rule. If you sue a large company and you say, you're infringing my patent that I own, they can sue you right back and say, guess what? Maybe we are, but you're suing our patent too.
And the second question is, so 6 years from the date of issue, when you find they are infringing, 6 years from the start using?
I think it's 6 years from the actual use. I would have to check. It's rarely an issue because almost all patent lawsuits are whatever you're doing, when we filed the lawsuit, everything that happened from 6 years prior to that date counts. Someone has a question. That's a great question. And since that's the title of this talk, let's try and answer that question. Let's suppose you're an engineering leader, and let's suppose you have an engineering group of, say, 15 people. Okay? If you want, you can add a 0 on it to make it more interesting. Or you could add 2 zeros and make it even more interesting. But let's say 15. And let's suppose you have a budget. Well, you can't spend all your budget on patenting everything that all your engineers think of, right? So you have to go through and think, which ones of these have some value? So the first question that I would ask, to ask if something has some value is, can you even get a patent on it? All right? Is this a cool idea, or is this a really stupid idea? Is this an idea that somebody thought of, while they were having their morning coffee and it was the obvious way to do it? Or is this really, really clever that got thought of, somebody just had a masterstroke of genius as they were standing at a whiteboard? Question 1, can you even get a patent? Okay? Now, by the way, I should point out, there is a 1-year limit on after you start selling the product or after you publicize the product, as in published it. So, if that year has gone by, you can't. It doesn't matter how clever it is, you can't get a patent on it. So, can you even get a patent? Has these 2 questions. 1, is it a cool idea? 2, have you told everyone about it? Okay, a year later. By the way, you only get an extra year in the US. Everywhere else in the world, it's tomorrow, too late. Okay, second question. God, I'm not counting my fingers properly. Second question. Are people going to infringe this patent? You would not know the number of patents that I have seen that covered technology that never became a standard. They're actually fairly clever ideas, but the technology is not a standard, so nobody builds it. Okay, well, if no one's going to build this product, it's not worth getting a patent on it. If you're the only one who's going to build this product, it's not worth getting a patent on it. Okay? 3, can you enforce it? Okay, well,